Talk about some of your legislative priorities if you're elected to the Senate. What are you going to focus on in your first term?
Well, the first term it's really going to be mostly about budget. And I'm, as an old healthcare guy and actually primary care, the first thing you do when you come to a scene of an accident, which is what we have right now, is we need to stop the bleeding. And that's the very first thing. And this is what we need to do in Olympia this year. We need to stop the bleeding. Meaning we have to freeze our expenses going in and figuring out the revenue around that so that we don't have any more spending increases for a while. Cannot underestimate the importance of getting back to a business-friendly environment in this state. We have a very business-unfriendly environment. I, as a person who operates and manages 25 companies, know on a day-to-day basis how business-unfriendly that is.
So what are some of the specific factors that make it a bad business environment, and how do you go about remedying those factors?
Well, there's 4 or 5 bad issues. Certainly the B&O tax is a major hang-up for new business formation. When you think about my background is mostly startups and young emerging companies. They don't make money. They don't try to make money, but they're still taxed anyway. There's the uncompensated, workman's compensation, which is extremely high rates for the state, second highest in the country. We have unemployment insurance, which is the second highest in the country. We have the highest minimum wage in the country.
But in an economy like this, where you have, I think at last check, 10% unemployment, is cutting unemployment benefits back a really good idea right now?
There's an issue with how unemployment rates are determined right now, and it has to do with mostly short term rather than long term. So the rates are determined with the assumption that the current unemployment rates will continue indefinitely in the future, which is not the case. We're at 9.5%. Traditional unemployment across the country is roughly 6%, and so they're getting the full burden of the 9% unemployment rate carried on in perpetuity, rather than recognizing that this is a blip. And it'll be a long blip, but it is a blip. The day of reckoning is now here. We do not have any more of those one-time fixes to balance the budget. And so we're going to have to go back to the structure of the budget itself. We're going to have to actually make cuts to the budget, or else we will not have a sustainable budget.
So are there some specific programs that you would target in cuts? What specifically would you look at cutting first?
So now, whenever I'm a private industry kind of guy, whenever anybody says to me, you got a choice here of increasing your revenues or cutting programs, I don't subscribe to that. I, as a business guy, have always, all of my businesses, every year we go through, we must do more for less. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to do more for less in this state. As an example, is the ferry system right now. We have an organization which appears to be unaccountable and has been for a long period of time. Who is holding the ferry system accountable? Who is holding our education system accountable? So simply providing more money in the system does not solve any problems.
Rodney Tom actually voted against the budget and was removed from budget negotiations because he was opposed to the budget in its current form. Do you have a comment on that?
Well, I think it's convenient that he voted against the budget after he was the architect of the budget and voted for virtually every tax increase that went into that budget. And he voted against it, some would say, for the sole reason of recognizing that he had a strong competitor in the wings who had already raised a lot of money in the campaign. So it's unclear, as I think even your organization suggests, that my opponent tends to be a finger in the wind kind of guy, and this is another example of him being kind of finger in the wind kind of guy. Okay, I need to get away from the concept that everything that needs to change in the school system requires money, and because I think that's the wrong mindset, absolutely wrong mindset. We need to reform the school system, which may or may not require money. If reforming it does require money, I'm all for it. Okay. But I'm not sure many reforms, such as giving principals more ability to hire and fire their own staffs, such as maybe outsourcing a lot of the non-teaching components of school operations. Those don't necessarily require more funding, but they are reform in a lot of ways. Our state is deteriorating year after year on international standards. We are no better, no worse in this state than we were 30 years ago. Our SAT scores are flat and have been flat for 30 years. Pour money in, pour money out. SAT scores are flat. Graduation rates are not doing very well in the state, as we all know. So that is the status quo, and that is the status quo that is supporting Rodney Tom. If that's what we want, continue to support Rodney Tom. If you want something different, support Gregg.